The Gospel of Mark is a fast-moving, action-packed account of the life, ministry, and sacrifice of Jesus Christ. It is the shortest of the four Gospels, yet its urgency and vivid storytelling leave a lasting impact. The man behind the Gospel. Though Mark himself never claims authorship, early church tradition tells us that John Mark, a companion of the apostles, was the writer. He was especially close to Peter, who likely provided first-hand accounts of Jesus' life. In fact, Mark's Gospel is often considered Peter's testimony, told through Mark's writing. Why was it written? This Gospel was written for Gentile Christians, particularly those in Rome who were enduring persecution. The Roman Empire was a dangerous place for believers, and Mark's account of Jesus, the suffering yet victorious Messiah, was meant to encourage them. His writing is straightforward, explaining Jewish customs and traditions to readers who wouldn't have been familiar with them. The story Mark tells. Mark doesn't waste any time. Instead of beginning with Jesus' birth, he jumps straight into his baptism and ministry. His gospel is filled with action, miracles, healings, exorcisms, and confrontations, all pointing to Jesus' authority and divine power. The gospel can be divided into two main parts. 1. Jesus' ministry in Galilee, Mark 1 through 8. Jesus heals the sick, casts out demons, and teaches in parables. His actions raise the question, who is Jesus? The climax comes when Peter boldly declares, "You are the Christ," Mark 8:29. 2. The journey to the cross, Mark 9-16. Jesus begins preparing his disciples for what's to come. He enters Jerusalem, is betrayed, arrested, and crucified. But the story doesn't end in death. On the third day, Jesus rises from the grave. A gospel of urgency and challenge. Mark's favorite word is immediately. He uses it over 40 times. His gospel moves quickly, showing Jesus as a man of action, but it also carries a challenge. If Jesus is truly the Son of God, how will you respond? The mysterious ending. The Gospel of Mark ends on a note of awe and fear. The last words in Mark 16:8 describe the women at the empty tomb. They said nothing to anyone because they were afraid. Some later manuscripts include a longer ending, but this abrupt conclusion leaves the reader with a question. What will you do with this news? Why it matters today. Mark's Gospel is not just a historical account, it is an invitation. It calls us to see Jesus for who he truly is, the suffering servant king, the Son of God, and the one who gave his life to save us. Just as the early Christians needed courage to follow him, we too are challenged to trust and proclaim his message, no matter the cost.